Hi, it's Sue with today's Bible reading for February 27th. Today we're starting a new book, the book of Deuteronomy. I'll be reading the first two chapters, and this is the fifth book of the Pentateuch, the first five books of the Bible, and it is the fifth book of the Torah, another name for the first five books of the Bible. And there are 12 readings for this book. And as usual, I'm going to put a couple links from Bible Project in the beginning part of the description of the video. Those are short overviews of the book so you can get a little outline or idea of the book if you're not familiar with it. They are 6 or 7 minutes each. And as I don't know if I said already, there are 12 different readings for this book, including the one that I'm going to read today. And now I've read this many times. You may have heard me say I read the one-year Bible every year, almost all the way through. You know, you skip days here and there, but um, every almost all the way through every year for over 30 years. So I've read this, but I never really put it into categories. And so I learned from Bible Project that it's a series of speeches by Moses to the Israelites, and they divide it up into three parts. You'll see that if you look at their overview. But it has like the intro speeches, the middle section, which is the law, more of what was given in, I guess, Leviticus, and and then just a closing section. And of course, there's much more detail to it than that, but you can find that in those two videos in the description. And as always, there are longer explanations of the book on YouTube that you can find a much more in-depth study and more, scholarly. What is the word? Expository and exegetical teachings, if you want something like that. So let's get started today. Chapter 1, verse 1. These are the words which Moses spoke to all Israel beyond the Jordan, in the wilderness, in the Arabah, opposite Suf, S-U-F, between Paran, Tophel, Laban, Hazeroth, and Dishab. It is 11 days' journey from Horeb by the way of Mount Seir to Kadesh Barnea. In the 40th year, in the 11th month of the first day of the month, Moses spoke to the children of Israel according to all that Yahweh had given him in commandment to them. And for Yahweh, it has a footnote. It says Yahweh is God's proper name, sometimes rendered Lord, all caps in other translations. So Moses spoke to the children of Israel according to all that Yahweh had given him in the commandment to them, after he had struck Sihon, the king of the Amorites, who lived in Heshbon, and Og, the king of Bashan, who lived in Ashtaroth at Edrei. Remember, those two were both giants, as far as I understand it. 5. Beyond the Jordan, the land of Moab, Moses began to declare this law, saying, Yahweh our God spoke to us in Horeb, saying, You have lived long enough at this mountain. Turn and take your journey, and go to the hill country of the Amorites, and to all the places near there, in the Arabah, in the hill country, in the lowland, in the south, by the seashore, in the land of the Canaanites, and in Lebanon, as far as the great river, the river Euphrates. Behold, I have set the land before you. Go in and possess the land which Yahweh swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give to them and to their offspring after them. And wow, how momentous is this? I mean, we've been hearing the entire time, all the way back to Abraham when God first made that promise, and then watching how each one of them carried that promise in their heart and passed it on. And now here they are finally at the culmination of it. It's beautiful. It's powerful. Verse 9. I spoke to you at that time, saying, I am not able to bear you myself alone. Yahweh, your God, has multiplied you, and behold, you are today as the stars of the sky for multitude. Just like he promised Abraham that their number would be, his offspring would be as the stars of the sky and the sand of the sea, right? Remember that? So he says, I'm going to read that last one again. Yahweh, your God, has multiplied you, and behold, you are today as the stars of the sky for multitude. Yahweh, the God of your fathers, make you 1,000 times as many as you are, and bless you as he has promised you. How can I myself alone bear your problems, your burdens, and your strife? Take wise men of understanding who are respected among your tribes, and I will make them heads over you. You answered me and said, The thing which you have spoken is good to do. So I took the heads of the tribes, wise and respected men, and made them heads of you, captains of thousands, captains of hundreds, captains of fifties, captains of tens, and officers according to your tribes. I commanded your judges at that time, saying, Hear cases between your brothers, and judge righteously between a man and his brother and the foreigner who is living with him. You shall not show partiality in judgment. You shall hear the small and the great alike. You shall not be afraid of the face of man, for the judgment is God's. The case that is too hard for you, you shall bring to me, and I will hear it. I commanded you at that time all things which you should do. We traveled from Horeb and went through all that great and terrible wilderness which you saw by the way to the hill country of the Amorites, as Yahweh our God commanded us, and we came to Kadesh Barnea. I said to you, you have come to the hill country of the Amorites, which Yahweh our God gives to us. Behold, Yahweh your God has set the land before you. Go up, take possession, as Yahweh the God of your fathers has spoken to you. Don't be afraid, neither be dismayed. You came near to me, every one of you, and said, let's send men before us, that they may search the land for us, and bring back to us word of the way by which we must go up, and the cities of which we shall come. The thing pleased me well. I took 12 of your men, one man from every tribe. They turned and went up to the hill country and came to the valley of Eshcol and spied it out. They took some of the fruit of the land in their hands and brought it down to us and brought us word again and said, it is a good land which Yahweh our God has given us. Yet you wouldn't go up, but rebelled against the commandment of Yahweh your God. You murmured in your tents and said, because Yahweh hated us, he has brought us out of the land of Egypt to deliver us into the hand of the Amorites to destroy us. Where are we going up? Our brothers have made our heart melt, saying, the people are greater and taller than we. The cities are great and fortified up to the sky. Moreover, we have seen the sons of Anakim there. Okay, the sons of the Anakim, again, I'm pretty sure those were giants. So, when you realize that, it really changes your perspective on all these stories, because I didn't know that way back when. It didn't used to be widely taught and, in the churches, and left a lot of people not really understanding these scriptures. It's important to teach that. So rightly so, they were terrified to go in. Then I said to you, don't be terrified. Don't be afraid of them. Yahweh your God, who goes before you, will fight for you according to all that he did for you in Egypt before your eyes, and in the wilderness where you have seen how that Yahweh your God carried you. So God's proven to himself to you by now. So he's going to do the same thing. Can you imagine the challenge of their faith? I mean, they knew what God had done, but still, they had to go in there to these giants that, I mean, how tall were they? Probably, if they looked like grasshoppers in their sight. I mean, you think even Goliath, they say, wasn't as purebred giant, probably smaller, and he was 9 feet tall. So can you imagine? Look up some pictures of 9 foot tall giants compared to regular people. Just look at some of the people living today that are 7 foot compared to a regular person. And imagine if you had like a 12-foot giant or something that you had to go up against and fight by hand to hand combat. So it's good to stop and just mull this stuff over. It's no wonder he said, don't be terrified. But he says, God's going to do for you like he did in Egypt and like he did in the wilderness. So it says, yet in this thing you didn't believe Yahweh your God, who went before you on the way to seek out a place for you to pitch your tents in fire by night, to show you by what way you should go, and in the cloud by day. Yahweh heard the voice of your words and was angry and swore, saying, surely not one of these men of this evil generation shall see the good land which I swore to give your fathers, except Caleb the son of Jephunneh. He shall see it. I will give the land that he has trodden on to him and to his children, because he has wholly followed Yahweh. Also, Yahweh was angry with me for your sake, saying, you also shall not go in there. Joshua the son of Nun, who stands before you, shall go in there. Encourage him, for he shall cause Israel to inherit it. Moreover, your little ones, whom you said would be captured or killed, your children, who today have no knowledge of good or evil, shall go in there. Excuse me. I will give it to them, and they shall possess it. But as for you, okay, I had a phone call. I'm going to repeat that last verse. Verse 40, but as for you, turn and take your journey into the wilderness by the way to the Red Sea. Then you answered and said to me, we have sinned against Yahweh. We will go up and fight according to all that Yahweh our God commanded us. Every man of you put his weapons of war and presume to go up into the hill country. Yahweh said to me, tell them, don't go up and don't fight, for I am not among you, lest you be struck before your enemies. So I spoke to you, and you didn't listen, but you rebelled against the commandment of Yahweh and were presumptuous and went up into the hill country. The Amorites who lived in that hill country came out against you and chased you as bees do, and beat you down in Seir, even to Hormah. You returned and wept before Yahweh, but Yahweh didn't listen to your voice nor turn his ear to you. So you stayed in Kadesh many days, according to the days that you remained. Then we turned and took our journey into the wilderness by the way to the Red Sea, as Yahweh spoke to me, and we encircled Mount Seir many days. Yahweh spoke to me, saying, you have encircled this mountain long enough. Turn northward. Command the people, saying, you are to pass through the border of your brothers, the children of Esau, who dwell in Seir, and they will be afraid of you. Therefore be careful. Don't contend with them, for I will not give you any of their land, no, not so much as for the sole of the foot to tread on, because I have given Mount Seir to Esau for a possession. You shall purchase food from them for money that you may eat. You shall also buy water from them for money that you may drink. For Yahweh your God has blessed you in all the work of your hands. He has known your walking through the great wilderness. These 40 years Yahweh your God has been with you. You have lacked nothing. So we passed by from our brothers, the children of Esau, who dwell in Seir, from the way of the Arabah, from Elath, and from Ezion Geber. We turned and passed by the way of the wilderness of Moab. Yahweh said to me, don't bother Moab, neither contend with them in battle, for I will not give you any of his land for a possession, because I have given Ar to the children of Lot for a possession. The Emin lived there before, a great and numerous people, and as tall as the Anakim, so probably more giants. These are considered to be Rephaim as the Anakim, but the Moabites call them Emin. The Horites also lived in Seir in the past, but the children of Esau succeeded them. They destroyed them from before them and lived in their place as Israel did to the land of his possession, which Yahweh gave to them. Now rise up and cross over the brook Zered. We went over the brook Zered. The days in which we came from Kadesh Barnea until we had come over the brook Zered were 38 years, until all the generation of men of war were consumed from the middle of the camp, as Yahweh swore to them. Moreover, Yahweh's hand was against them to destroy them from the middle of the camp until they were consumed. So when all the men of war were consumed and dead from among the people, Yahweh spoke to me, saying, You are to pass over Ar, the border of Moab, today. When you come near to the border of the children of Ammon, don't bother them nor contend with them, for I will not give you any of the land of the children of Ammon for a possession, because I have given it to the children of Lot for a possession. That also is considered a land of Rephaim. Rephaim lived there in the past, but the Ammonites called them Zumin, a great people, many and tall as the Anakim, but Yahweh destroyed them from before Israel, and they succeeded them and lived in their place, as he did for the children of Esau who dwell in Seir, when he destroyed the Horites from before them, and they succeeded them and lived in their place even to this day. Then the Avim who lived in the villages as far as Gaza, the Kaphtorim who came out of Kaphtor, destroyed them and lived in their place. Rise up, take your journey, and pass over the valley of Arnon. Behold, I have given into your hands Sihon the Amorite, king of Heshbon, and his land. Begin to possess it and contend with him in battle. Today I will begin to put the dread of you and the fear of you on the people who are under the whole sky, who shall hear the report of you and shall tremble and be in anguish because of you. I sent messengers out of the wilderness to Kedemoth to Sihon, king of Heshbon, with words of peace, saying, Let me pass through your land. I will go along the highway. I will turn neither to the right hand nor to the left, and you shall sell me food for money that I may eat, and give me water for money that I may drink. Just let me pass through on my feet, as the children of Esau who dwell in Seir and the Moabites who dwell in Ar did to me, until I pass over the Jordan into the land which Yahweh our God gives us. But Sihon king of Heshbon would not let us pass by him, for Yahweh your God hardened his spirit and made his heart obstinate, that he might deliver him into your hand, as is today. Yahweh said to me, Behold, I have begun to deliver up Sihon and his land before you. Begin to possess it, you might inherit this land. Then Sihon came out against us, he and all his people, to battle at Jahaz. Yahweh our God delivered him up before us, and we struck him, his sons, and all his people. We took all his cities at that time and utterly destroyed every inhabited city, with the women and the little ones. We left no one remaining. Only the livestock we took for plunder for ourselves, and with the plunder of the cities which we had taken. From Aor, which is on the edge of the valley of Arnon, and the city that is in the valley even to Gilead, there was not a city too high for us. Yahweh our God delivered up all before us. Only to the land of the children of Ammon you didn't come near. All the banks of the river Jabbok and the cities of the hill country, and wherever Yahweh our God forbade us. And that is the end of today's reading. And be sure to check the description for those video links, and I'll talk to you next time. Shalom.